Welcome to Gut Punch, the podcast that explores life-changing moments. Hosted by Kathryn Lancioni, a seasoned educator with personal insights into resilience. Kathryn shares how life can change in an instant, shaping our path forward. Each episode features inspiring guests who face their own gut punch moments. Guests share their journeys through loss, upheaval, and triumph. What to expect: honest conversations, lessons in resilience, inspiration for growth. Join Kathryn as she highlights courage and perseverance in every story. Gut Punch is a reminder that there is always a path forward. Be part of the conversation. Register now to join Kathryn for today's journey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gut Punch podcast. My name is Kathryn Lancioni, and I'm your host for today's episode. Today, we are joined by Arbana Xharra, who I don't even know how to introduce her, except saying that she's an incredible person, and I'm absolutely flattered beyond words that she's joining us today. Arbana is going to share a little bit about her background and take us through her gut punch and how she's managed to navigate and just do so much despite what happened. So, Arbana, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. My honor to be on your podcast.
Oh, you're too sweet. So let's just get right into it. If you could share a little bit about your background, let's start there.
So yeah, I'm from Kosovo, Albanian. Many of your listeners probably remember the war in Kosovo during 1999. So I was 16, 17 at the time, experienced war. And then after the war, for us, we were building the new country, new institution. I was among the first generation that started doing journalism and the free country. I was very young when I started. I was not aware what the path that I'm going to be on. And yes, I started in the beginning, the first 10 years writing because we were building new institutions. So writing about it, corruption and a lot of things were happening, right?
A journalist. You were working as a journalist.
And imagine in a country that just the war was done and now you have the UN and all this international organization. And so then I switched. After 10 years, I switched into something else, which got me into a lot of trouble, writing about extremist religious groups and coming mostly from Middle East. And yeah, I became an editor-in-chief of the second largest newspaper I was 31, 32 at the time. But I really worked a lot on field. I've been expanding my investigation in the Balkans, in the Europe. What is happening? Like something new happened, underestimating that something might happen to me. Like when the social media start being very popular, we get to have reaction like threats, but then it becomes normal. Like you normalize those threats because you know what? They're going to say a lot of things, but nothing's going to happen to me.
Let me just interject here. Like part of it too is, having gone to journalism school and worked as a journalist myself, there is this, I think, as you're saying, it's almost like a naivete, right? With that, you feel like you should be okay because you're trying to report the story. You're trying to showcase the truth. And your pursuit of that, we perceive, should be okay. I think anyway, so that's what I just wanted to add in is I understand that mindset because having been there, not to the level that you were, but I understand how that thought process came about. Okay, so take us beyond what happened.
And you just, as I said, new country, new institution, and you don't know who to rely on. And yeah, I was lucky to have the U.S. embassy, the door always open to me. There were diplomats, ambassadors, because they have seen I was receiving threats. I've been sent to court. And I don't know where I got all that courage. I had kids in a very young age. I can share with you a few details that were like, I would not do this today. Like I would not take my son, he was 7 years old, go to one of the most controversial person who was arrested for being a part of Al-Qaeda. And I'm taking my son just because thinking that if he sees me as a mother, it's going to be easier for me to interview him. Yeah, I got into like yesterday, I was sharing the story with one of my friends, how I was followed by the car while my youngest son was 1 year old and the older one was 4. So right now, when I think back, it's like a movie. What I've been through.
Yeah.
Until in 2017, I was brutally attacked in my parking garage, and I never planned to leave I grew up as a journalist. So it's not just a job. It was my passion. It was my mission.
It was your calling, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I was awarded, I received award in the United States. I used to come often, at least twice a year. So who would tell that it will come a moment that I was like, I have to leave everything behind because of the safety of my kids. At 2018, I moved to United States. My older son was 13 and my younger son was 8, almost 9. So I'm starting all over after all those trauma back then. There were like, I started journalism in 2000, 2001. So I was
Right.
8, 19 years old. Yeah, a lot of things happened. And then switch to the new reality, starting all over here. So
Right.
when you come as a tourist is different, but when you come here to start a new life as a single mom with 2 kids is just something that you don't even comprehend what you're going to be facing.
So I want to go back to one thing you said. Let's talk about very, very briefly. So you were attacked in the parking garage of your apartment building. If you don't mind sharing a little bit of what happened there.
So I was very active on social media. I was not just doing writings. I was out there trying to raise awareness, like, don't let your kids be brainwashed. This is what is happening.
Right.
So Albania and Kosovo, we are all Albanians, but with different countries. So it's just 3 hours drive to Albania. And I had a lot of followers on my social media. So
Okay.
I always announced I'm going to be at this TV show and I'm going to be talking about this. Since 2012 until 2017, I became very active on a daily basis, writing, saying things on social media, on TV, very often, at least 3, 4 times a week, I've been on TV. And the reaction came from random people, from imams, from religious people, but also I started writing about Turkey. So the Turkish
Okay.
president, which is still the one, he came and building mosques in our country. And I was following the money. Where this money coming from? I realized that money was not coming through banks. It was bypassing banks. And that night, so before going that night to speak about this, the Turkish ambassador wrote an open letter against me and asked from the government to arrest me, saying that
Wow.
you are destroying relationship between Kosovo and Turkey. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that night I was in Albania. It was live show. And I talked about how this money is coming. This is what they are doing. And on my way back home, I was with the driver. So it was 1 o'clock in the morning. So they stopped the car. I was about to go to my apartment. I stopped at my car to grab something at the parking garage to grab something from the car. It was a new building. And so still, when they are still running the construction, there was no light. So I had my phone with my phone light trying to get things. And someone pulled me from my hair. And as a woman, you think that you are going to be raped.
Yeah.
It's brain works, and I'm not saying even a second, less than a second. I just couldn't breathe because one of them was holding me and like this, and the other
Wow.
person was punching me. At that second, what goes in your mind is kids, I'm gonna be so
Yeah.
rape. I'm not being raped. I'm attacked. I'm going to be killed. So I didn't know how many people. I know that one was holding me. And at that moment, he could be huge. He could not be. But psychologically, it felt like I was tiny person on someone else's holding me.
Yeah.
Then I was on the floor and I heard steps running. And I was looking where my phone is. It was dark and I saw the phone because the light was on my iPhone and I saw blood. At that moment, I thought I'm hurt. And they say you could be hurt really bad, but you don't feel pain. And I was like, where was I was shot? Where I was with like something did with a knife, but the blood was coming through my mouth. So
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
know what was happening. What I did that night, so a day before my youngest son's birthday. So my family that live in different city, they were there. And my family was in the apartment. I was in the garage. I didn't know, should I call them? So I called the driver that dropped me off from the event.
Right.
And I said that, can you come back? I was attacked. So then it's just the sequences. Like what I remember myself at the car because they called the police and I was the ER car that they sent me to the hospital.
Yeah.
I know they was checking with the light my eyes. I don't remember how I got into the emergency car. Then I remember myself at the ER, like from the stress, my body was just like jumping from the bed that I was there. So they were all sequences. What is happening? There were a lot of people around me. And yeah, physically, I was hurt. Like then I saw that which part I was punched in the wall. I was pushed in the wall. I couldn't see very well with my eye. I don't remember. Then I remember later on, I was sent for the CAT scan and all that.
Do you think were they trying to kill you or just scare you?
I think they were trying to scare me and may not, because they punched me on my left leg. They were trying to break my leg. They couldn't kill me. But before the attack happened, 2 weeks before, they find out where I live and they came and they draw red crosses next to my apartment. I will send you the photos. It's the red cross that looks like blood, but it was the police realized and they said it's the paint that looks like blood. So the police came in my apartment and said, don't worry, they are just trying to scare you. And so then I received a photo of a killed person from ISIS. Remember that ISIS were killing people wearing those orange clothes?
Yeah.
It was saying to me, we know how much you love your own children. We're going to find you. And the attack happened. So all of this happened within a couple of weeks. So when the police comes into your house and they say to you, don't worry, they are trying to scare you, you were supposed to trust them. So there are police. There is this institution that...
Police.
Exactly. Attack happened. I was sent back then home from the hospital. And guess what? Police doesn't come to take any interview to ask me, like, who did, what happened, to take photos. And at the time, the U.S. ambassador in Kosovo was Greg Delaby. He came to visit me and I said, Ambassador, they are not interested to find out who attacked me. You should do something. So I'm coming to the point that the U.S. embassy was the one that I really trusted.
Yes, understandable.
The U.S. ambassador called the head of police at the time and they sent the team to take the photos because, it is just then reading comments of people. You did nothing to her. She should have been killed. You know that hurts even more because physically after a few days, you don't feel the pain, but emotionally, like,
that's horrible.
How far they can go. Like, and it's just painful for kids to see me like that. And then I had moments, I isolated them totally. Like, what is going to happen to them because they are trying to silence me. And then they were sending me the photos of the munition, like gun, and we are going to kill you with this one. So this is what happened. My older son was older. So my youngest son didn't really realize what was happened. They knew I'm a journalist, of course. So my older son was not well and said, you know what? A lot of organizations reached out to me from United States. If you want to leave, we were going to support you financially. Leave. So they knew that because they have known that it was not the first time I was receiving threats. I was sent to court for my writings on corruption. I decided to come for a month in the United States just to stay a little bit far from there and to go back because I didn't want to leave. And I went back and I find out that the prosecutor that was set to deal with my case was somebody that used to deal with traffic cases. Like, imagine someone that deals with traffic tickets. He's going to find out and to investigate my 1 year, nothing. I was still receiving threats and stop kids from sending to all these soccer and all other stuff. Like, is it worth it to wait? Something else happened to my kids, and the decision to move was not easy, but it was urgent.
Yes.
Because of the kids. If I didn't have kids, I would never leave Kosovo. Like,
you would have stayed.
I know what might happen to me, but it's just when you are a mother, it's just like, I blame myself then because of me, I put everyone in danger. Because of my photo, and they were doing a lot of propaganda. Oh, she works for Mossad. Americans are paying her. Because in 2015, I came at the White House, the State Department awarded me as a Woman of Courage award. And they were doing all this online propaganda. They opened the Facebook pages against me. They did so many things to stop me, to silence me. So, and they were like, all this, what I'm saying to you, it's just among hundreds and thousands of other threats and things that I've experience, but driven so much. I'm passionate about journalism, and I love my country because during the war, like, we were saved, and now we have our new country. So we are building. So as I said, journalism was more than just writing. It was a mission.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah. And then a totally different thing when I came here. So yeah.
So you came here, with the kids. And as you said, can only imagine what it was like moving here as a single mom with 2 children. It's one thing to come on vacation and visit. It's one thing to stay for a month, but to make the decision to come to the States permanently, that must have been a big one. So what was the transition like for you?
I didn't go to the therapist back home. You know how hard it is because all the time, because of the threats, or
Yeah.
most of the shows when I was speaking about different subjects, even economy, corruption, religion, there were mostly men in the studio. You have to show them that you are strong. Yeah, you cannot do anything to me. And you kind of suppress your trauma inside. You don't even deal with it because you
Yep.
look
Yes.
yourself in the mirror. I'm strong.
Yep.
There's nothing they can do to me. And no, I didn't go to the therapist. I came here and I was having how to explain? Was it anxiety,
Yeah.
depression?
Yeah.
Everything
Anxiety.
was
Yeah.
combined. And when you don't process and you have to deal with yourself. And I
Yeah.
remember when I went here at the asylum process and I have at the homeland, they interview you, they ask you like, who is your therapist? I said, I don't have. So I went at one that they had to evaluate my psychology, like how
Yeah.
I'm feeling and depression. But because you sit and you say like, are they gonna understand when I went through? Because you think that this therapist is American, right? And I come from this part of the world that I went through a lot, patriarchal
Yeah.
mentality and war and how was raised because they go back to your childhood. No, you kind of don't trust to share. And you have trust issues because you've been through a lot. And I tried to deal this with myself and it was not easy. What happened to me then after, I start having these panic attacks that my younger son is going to disappear. And if you ask my son, if you interview my son, he's 16 now, but he's 8 now. The trauma that we both went through then here, I would send him to school, right? And I
Right.
know that he is at the school. I go in the office and I know that by 2:20 he's done and he's
Yeah.
coming back home. And I asked him, Artie, call me at 2:20. Let me know that you are walking home, right? He's a kid, 4th grade, 5th grade, and he forgets. And
Yeah.
at that second, I start shaking, having so much panic attack, like sweating. It might be 2 minutes, like 2:22. Just wait. He's going to call you. And the moment he calls me, I am relaxed. It's just a second that I am just,
Yeah.
okay, I'm feeling now. I remember my family came to visit me and they saw I was checking my son. He's at the park, right? And the
Yep.
moment I don't see him on my app, I run like crazy. Artie is just trauma for him
Yeah.
to see his mom all the time freaking out. And not just
Yes.
that, 2 o'clock in the morning, I would open the door of the bedroom to see if they are inside. So they were my thoughts, it was creating the different reality so it was all the trauma from back home.
Yeah.
Now here I am safe, right? But like subconsciously, you don't realize why I would open my eyes in the morning and having this heartbeat, like saying to myself, you are in the United States. You are safe. Stop it. Nothing's going to happen to you or to your kids.
But it was just the fear amplified. Yeah. It just got control. How did you manage that? Like, what got you through it?
I have my family bringing Xanax to me, like, because I could not sleep. The Xanax helped me at least not wake up many times during the night. I had very hard moments. I was like moments that I had suicidal thoughts sometimes,
Yeah.
like, and then I was like, what the hell I'm thinking? I came here for the safety of my kids. You're going to leave your kids. So, you mentally, you don't know what, but then I would come a day that I will feel better. And when
Yes.
kids start growing and they were both of them, like considering they grew up without a father and just with me. And most of the time I was in the office, they were alone. Like I remember they both came after school and they were napping, right? And I was on the train. None of them was picking up the phone. I left the train to walk because I couldn't breathe. And I came home and I see both of them sleeping, right? And fearing that something happened to them. So
Yeah.
considering all the stress that they have to go through with me. They are both, and now seeing them successful, getting into very good schools and really appreciating everything, all the sacrifice. And they never complain because economically I was much better back home. So I had a
Yeah.
big apartment, and now here, like, it was not the same. So after my younger son Artie grew physically, I will look at his on the phone his photo and say, Arbana, nothing's going to happen to him. He is not little anymore. So this way I kind of worked
Yeah.
with myself.
Yes.
So yeah, now I feel much better. They are both like growing up. I
Love
don't
that.
have that anxiety that I used to have. That's why now I'm more like calm down. I kind of
Yeah.
return to my writings more, and yeah.
Good. Yeah, I give you credit because I'm sure it was very, very hard to calm yourself down and kind of step out of your own box and put stuff into perspective. I think, that's a superpower really that you have that. So what are you doing now? Talk to us about, the Arbana now. One son is in college, I believe. The other one is, as you
And the
said,
other one is
16.
high school.
Yeah. So what are you doing these days?
I am very focused also with them because I have, like, when my older son went to college, I had this guilt feeling. Like, I was so sad the day I went with him, and, like, put everything on my way, cried so much. Like, if police stops me, what happened to you? Because I feel like they had to go through so much because of me, because of my career, and their
Yeah.
childhood was, it could be better, right? It could be, my older son had to switch his school 7 times. Imagine for a kid.
When he was in the US or
With
when you
in Kosovo 4 times or 5 times, then in the US. So it's just, and I asked him like how it was for you. I asked him the
Yeah.
other day. He said kind of became normal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it became normal.
And the thing about that is, and I'm gonna cut you off, I'll get back, but they do learn how to make friends because they're always in a new environment. And that is from a life skill standpoint, that's good. But at the time it must have been tough for him.
Yes, because it was the first, I sent him to the public school. Then when
Yeah.
I start receiving threats, I have to switch to this private and then to the other one. This is safer. This is so, yeah. Now, since I got here, I was working for the think tank, which I was very lucky to continuously do something similar to what I was doing back
Yeah.
home, focusing on writings. And what I switched here then was more into the global issues, not just Kosovo or not just Islamic religious groups. I expanded my work into the Middle East, then in the United States, what is happening. I became a part of the organization that talk about women's rights. And
Great.
having for this long on media and having a huge network, in September last year, I decided to start my own podcast to interview women that go through similar things. Because when you live in different countries, sometimes it's very hard your voice to be heard.
Yes.
So I feel lucky to be here, and I have a capacity to share their voice with other people, to tell the world that women, we are very strong. So there are journalists that every day they 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 know that they might be killed. Like, imagine living in that, you have to have their guards up all the
Sure.
time. And I've met this journalist. She said, I have to show my kids the road to the school because I might be killed, and they have to know how to go to school by themselves. How extraordinary stories of these women that the live stream media really don't talk about them.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I attend a lot of events to speak up, share my story. I do writings, but the podcast is my focus right now.
What's the name of your podcast?
Not silent.
Okay. I love that. And
Yeah.
really, I mean, it's a very, it's like gut punch. It's really strong and it, kind of implies what the show is all about. So I guess what are your words of wisdom for people? That are either feeling stuck or just feeling defeated. You really had a very difficult decision to make because and I know it was a little easier because you had kids that were kind of the motivation and saving them, but leaving your home country that, clearly you love and you so identify with to move someplace where you really knew no one, like what ultimately made it, like how did you make that decision? How did you go through that thinking
Out
process?
of first of all, out of fear that something might happen to my kids, but
Yeah.
to cross the ocean with 2 kids, not knowing like how it's going to be, takes, you are a little bit numb of the trauma of what are your
Yeah.
surrounding of. And then you are not prepared, but I had always this courage and strength within me. Because as I said, in our mentality at the time, you have to show that you are strong as a woman.
Yeah.
And I was fighting patriarchal mentality because I had a different comments when I was writing about corruption. I was on the
Yeah.
TV show and I have comments like, oh, you have to stay home with your kids, right? So I wanted to bring a different image that women can be strong, not fear anyone. And
Yeah.
I was writing about criminals. I was covering economy. So I had a scandal of $60 million corruption case. I didn't have a strong family, like big family that was like, oh my, I have 20 brothers, right? Because in this
Right.
usually, but I was the oldest child in my family. So it's not that I had any kind of protection. And as I said, I would go to police, send threats that I'm receiving. But when you are a parent, something switched at that moment. I said,
Yes.
Arbana, are you aware what is happening? Just I cannot risk anymore.
And
So
and why the US? Why not somewhere else in Europe?
because I said United States always opened the door for me.
Yeah.
The US embassy was the only, no matter who was in administration here,
Yeah.
no matter Democrat,
They
Republicans,
were always supportive. Got it.
always, they were diplomats, not just ambassador, told me, listen, come to my house, come with your kids and stay with me.
Wow.
Every time someone came from the United States, they would invite me to talk to me. What is happening? They trusted me. And when
That's
someone
amazing.
trusts you, you build this trust
Yes.
relationship.
Yep.
In
Yep.
2015, they nominate me for this big award. Honestly, I didn't think that I'm going to win. Just
Yeah.
the nomination itself from 2 million people and all these amazing women in my country doing a lot, they picked me for this award. And I was very grateful. And like, there is no other place in the world that I will feel home
Yep.
and safe. And I had other people that I knew that they used to work at the time at the State Department, those that were at the US Embassy, then they came, you kind of, and we spoke English and my kids, and it was easier for them to start the
Yep.
life here.
Do you ever, your kids are getting older. Do you ever anticipate moving back to Kosovo?
You know what? Let me tell you the story what happened yesterday. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why that's never gonna happen. So the attack happened right 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So
Yeah.
this person and so Facebook owns a TV, so he's not just a journalist. He
Okay.
puts my photos there, beaten up, and he jokes with attack on me.
This was just yesterday?
Yesterday.
What was the catalyst for him to do this yesterday?
That's why I was talking to my parents. 8 years I am here. Like I am not writing anymore about Kosovo. I'm just
No.
switched to, and not just him, hundreds of comments against me. And I
Oh,
was like, at that moment, I felt what I've been through back home, which I want to forget about that feeling.
so
And I was
sorry.
like, I am so lucky I'm here. God
Yeah.
knows what would happen to me because there are so many people hateful, like she is against Islam. She is this. She deserved this. This is nothing. You should have done more. Like it is so sad. And I was like, I'm so grateful, not happy. I'm so grateful that I'm here,
Yeah.
that my kids are safe. Because just to read those comments, one I'm like, well, there are more than 200 in one post. All negative things against me.
Wow. Well, that answers the
How
question.
would
That's
you how would
crazy.
you even think, of course, that you miss your country that I grew up and
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
all, but it gives me anxiety just to think about it. I would not be safe because there are still, I have a case in the court. There is this imam. I wrote about him a lot. In 2016, I had facts that he is a part of this a terrorist organization. Like he's a Wahhabi. Like he called for people to go and fight for ISIS in Syria. He
Okay.
sued me. I have a court case with him. So
Oh,
what do
well.
you think if I go back and he has so many supporters there?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not that I was writing for an individual, or when you write about extremist religious group, you have a mass of people who are against you and you never
Yeah.
know where the attack would come from. And
Yeah.
then they know what will hurt more if they attack my kids now.
Yeah.
So there is no way I would
Yeah.
love to, but I'm not gonna go any no. So yeah, as I said, 8 years after, and all this hatred against me is the message that no.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I can answer the question. So what do you want to do next? You're here, you're established, you're not going back to Kosovo, or, you've changed your focus about, what you write about, and you have this amazing podcast. Any idea on what's after that or what's in conjunction with that you're thinking about?
I'm gonna start like it's almost done the website. It's gonna be more of the source to read about. Also analyzes, for example, what is happening in Iran right now, and you don't see much of the reaction of the people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And to have more in-depth analysis, what is happening. So even when I interview someone from Iran, like you can see and read and watch a movie, a documentary, but when you
Yeah.
have a person, an actual person that shares a personal story, you kind of build an idea.
Yeah.
Or I had the first Afghan pilot. She lived in Afghanistan and then she moved. We both received the same award in 2015. She went through hell just because she became a pilot, because that patriarchal religious society would attack her and her family. She moved in the United States, and guess what? She is a pilot of the guy who just became a head of NASA.
Wow.
So this is the story to tell also to the younger generation here. So what? She lived through hell, almost killed. So I'm sharing this story.
Yeah.
Also to wear awareness and educate the dangers of what it means to live under these Islamist regimes, because you have women there fighting to remove headscarves, and you have here some American women supporting that ideology in name of feminism. No, because you don't know what it means to live under that regime.
Right.
And I'm going to bring you someone from Iran, from Afghanistan, from Middle East to tell you, because they want freedom. They don't want to be covered on burqa and not allowed. Girls in Afghanistan are not allowed to go to school.
Right.
And that's why this way, because it's the lack of information, the lack on.
Yes.
And it's also dangerous because you build the whole generation thinking something which is not true. And you can
based on false principles. Yeah.
So through their stories and so this is like, I want to continue journalism, raising awareness, writing, possibly not now, maybe in a couple of years, writing my book, not just for me, but to share all of these events through my story.
I just love how you just keep going. It's incredible. Great stuff. I want to thank you for sharing your story with us.
Pleasure.
When I heard about your background, I was just so taken aback. And it's just, I give you all the credit in the world. What happened to you was terrible, and you managed to pick up the pieces and just go on. And, you're continuing to evolve as a journalist and as a human. And truly, I think it's so easy for us to get stuck in our own mud some days. Your story is just an incredible inspiration, I think, for people that are feeling stuck. And it really, I think, for many ways, helps people think about, where they are and what you went through with hell. And you are here and you immigrated and you restarted your life. And I'm sure that was not easy either, but here you are sharing it with us and with other people. So thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Arbana, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to contact you?
Yes, through social media or my email, so I can share with you. I'm very active on my social media, so I will respond to all the messages.
And
It's
you're
my
on
name, Arbana.
Instagram,
Yes.
LinkedIn? Okay.
LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for listening. And it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And I don't know, we'll talk to you all next week on another episode of the Gut Punch podcast. Thanks, everyone.
That's it for today's episode of Gut Punch. I hope you found inspiration, because no matter how hard life hits, there's always a way forward. Make sure to follow or subscribe to Gut Punch on your favorite podcast platform. If you know someone who could use a little inspiration, share this episode with them. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay strong. See you in the next episode.